What's up, potheads and political junkies? It is I, Anil, Sthankiya, editor-in-chief of Pot TV, with an episode of Cannabis Culture News Live, and my co-host, Casey McFarlane. Getting started here. I'm pulling up all the chats, and actually, it's nice to have you here, Casey, because the last time that you were the co-host of the show, I was asking about the consciousness continuum. And at that time, I had seen one episode and seen a few minutes of another, but it was really intriguing, and I was hoping to get back to it. And since then, I did, and I've even shared a link to the video on Pod TV. Could you tell me a bit about what that episode was about?
Was it the war on drugs? That one?
No, it was the one right after that.
Oh,
I think
right,
it was the one with Chris Bennett and Tom and Dennis.
Yeah. I wonder, I'll try to think about what sparked the inspiration of it. I think that we're kind of like, we're all experiencing hardship from not having things that we should have easily accessible to us. Like all these barriers and stuff, and just, in ways that don't need to be there in regards to plants. And I think that it's interesting to look at the roots of certain religions too, because a lot of people, although that I don't consider myself a Catholic or necessarily religious, but I also respect some people who happen to be Catholic and they're not inherently evil. So when I think it's interesting that they're coming out with research about like cannabis and different religions. I will admit I know nothing about it, but it's pretty interesting to read some of the books that some people, have written about theories they have. Like Chris Bennett writes some interesting work.
Yeah.
So
I couldn't agree more. No, please continue though. This is, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, so then I think it's also interesting to have like a couple legal perspectives too, who also care about people, to my knowledge. Yeah, care about people and plants and, what's right and what's wrong and everything. So that perhaps maybe there could be a shift. That would be really cool if there was a shift. People could just have access to information that was, accurate, up to date, and for there to be no heavy, like, oh my god, I'm doing something wrong, I'm sick and I need medicine and I'm not allowed, but I'm doing it. It's like this sense of guilt, that can overcloud people. That shouldn't exist, I don't think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think I would agree. So the show is on the history of psychedelics in religions, and whether you have a real
just
religious
like,
stake
who really
or not.
knows, really, because some of them are so far back, but it's cool to look at some of the stuff they've come up with.
Yeah, it's nice to know that so many people have put so much time and endeavor into looking into it, because typically I think if you go to say most places of, say, spiritual practice, they probably won't bring up psychedelics, right off the bat, or even if ever. They may not even believe or have looked into it.
There may be a lot of aversion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there may be a lot of aversion to it as well.
And I also, the thing I liked about it was it seemed like the conversation was really structured around trying to dispel myths, and everyone was really upfront with putting their research out. So if you did have any questions about it, you could easily look into Chris's claims or Tom's claims and say, how did they get this information? Where did it come from? And I think the research is really interesting. So thank you for contributing that.
Yeah, definitely. I was really honored to be a part of the conversation and hear everyone's perspectives, and it was pretty nice.
Oh, knocking over the ashtray. Got oh, nice. Jason saying what's up, and again this gigantic name, Naked Stoner, is also saying hi. What is this? Canon Man great shit. It's Avery philosophical question. I don't know if that's it entirely, but thank you for saying what's up. And so what is the question here? What is the justification for these laws? That's a long name, but that's a very true statement. There's never a justification for these types of overreaching laws.
Yeah.
You never see a newscaster pause for a drink. I guess they do now. Now it's
Maybe,
like a
but-
real fashionable thing to
Yeah.
have a mug of something, some sort of placement. But anyway, let's talk to the news. Let's talk about the news. All these stories, by the way, you can find these and many others, if not these, then 25 years or more information at cannabisculture.com. Highly recommend it. You can also find videos like this one at Pot TV, and you can also sign up for Smoke and Snacks, which has a whole variety of snacks. And the reason I mention them is because if you go to Cannabis Culture and sign up for the newsletter, you can win a free Smoke and Snacks box. So if you're into expanding your spiritual horizons and dimensions via sweets and rare treats, that's an option. And actually, also speaking of sweets and rare treats, if you're familiar with the broadcast, you go back into the archives. Spicoli, a very high-spirited guest that we've had on the show, and very knowledgeable about cannabis in so many ways, dropped off a pack of these pre-rolls, top shelf BC Bud. It says. Let me just get the Bud cam up here. God's Green Crack. And it is, it's neat. Someone made these little pre-rolls. Now, these are not licit, I don't think. But they do have a warning label on them. So, I guess I'm warned if I'm supposed to know what that is. In fact, they're packaged really tight. I actually have to use scissors to open these. I don't think I'd be able to open them otherwise.
Nice.
And just brought some joints by. So thanks to
pretty
Coley,
thoughtful,
and
yeah.
thanks to this BC Bud, top shelf BC Bud, pre-rolled cones, 10-pack, very nice. But before we get to that, let's talk about a tale. So the first headline that I have is one that is pretty standard in kind of cannabis news, which is it's almost Halloween. So that means it's time to scare people about edibles in kids' candy. So someone needs to be arrested for it. So there needs to be an investigation related to it. This is from the Peace Arch News. 2 charged after cannabis edible found in Halloween bags in Delta. A Delta couple has been charged under the Cannabis Act in an investigation relating to cannabis edibles found in 2 children's treat bags last Halloween. This is a year-long investigation, folks.
Oh my.
I mean, the story goes on. I won't read this. It was kind of interesting. One thing that did stand out is one of the things they're being charged with is using a solvent to alter cannabis. That is in the Cannabis Act. Even if it's legal cannabis, you are not allowed to alter it with a solvent.
Interesting.
But yeah, so quote, fortunately last year the parents spotted the suspicious candy before anything was consumed, and we had no other similar complaints related to trick-or-treating. So nobody got hurt and there were no other complaints. We need a year-long investigation to hunt these people down.
Yeah.
Is that a fact? Well,
Wow.
maybe it's Halloween. You're not allowed to give out weed in New York, according to the Cannabis Board. This is from WSKG.org. So, New York Cannabis Board calls free marijuana samples illegal. The head of the state's Cannabis Control Board has declared businesses giving away marijuana as a promotion with the purchase of an overpriced t-shirt, lighter, or other items are breaking the law. They were very specific about the overpriced t-shirt because there was an example here where someone was selling a $65 t-shirt and then you got a free eighth of cannabis, which I think is pretty nice. I don't see what the issue with that is. So they're not a fan of this in New York right now. They're trying to figure all this out, and basically this Cannabis Control Board is now trying to just come up with every single way that they can, force somebody into a license. They really don't like people giving it away. So not just on Halloween. Don't be giving this out. Terrible.
criminal.
Well, criminal. The advice Kilmick, the lawyer, says is stop. That's his advice to you. Cannabis, stop. That's my advice. Stop. Speaking of stopping, a Toronto politician is trying to curb the number of cannabis stores in parts of the city. This is from BlogTO. The part that really caught my eye about it, I really liked it, was as anyone who's walked a downtown thoroughfare knows, there are indeed a shocking number of dispensaries, many within very close proximity to one another, begging the question of how some of them are profitable. Shocking. Shocking. You're walking down the street and you're so shocked by the sight of dispensaries, you're shocked. There's a shocking number of these stores. So now this politician is trying to come up with basically firmer bylaws here. Davenport MPP Mariette Stiles, Bill 29 would amend the Cannabis License Act to require Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario registrars to consult city councils to provide, quote, proof of the needs and wishes of the residents of the municipality, end quote, before yet another shop is greenlit, which I'm pretty sure that's already part of any type of zoning. You just ask whether that's the whole point of the license, is you're asking the community, you're saying, I would like to start this endeavor. What is the administrative cost of doing it? But now there's just a little extra in there. So now prohibition is a different way. It's just the same, another type of prohibition. Anything stand out to you so far? I know you had a couple of headlines, but I did have, I'll tell you, I have one more that is related to weed licensing. So maybe we'll discuss that. So this is no weed licenses until 2023, State Cannabis Board Chair says, and this is from the Rochester City newspaper. So the head of the state's Cannabis Control Board said Wednesday during a stop in Rochester that she anticipates licenses for the first recreational marijuana dispensaries in the state not being issued until the spring of 2023 at the earliest. And she's saying we need to control these dispensaries. The part that really stood out to me that I thought was pretty funny is she came and gave this talk to tell people about how she was going to keep this tight. Quote, her remarks were met with audible groans from the crowd, end quote. It's like everybody knows. It's like everybody knows this is absurd. And there's even, most budding businesses have made do by exploiting the so-called gifting clause in the law that allows adults to give each other small amounts of weed for free. So they really just don't want weed to be given away. You just can't give it away. Yeah, because they're saying you can't give it away to kids, but what they're really saying is we don't want you to give it away. It can't be free. A plant, a tea bag, Spicoli couldn't stop by, couldn't. 1 minute to 4:20. Whoa, well, we're ready, but it can't be free. Would you like some weed for free? I know that's not allowed, but if you, go right ahead. No free weed. Oh, it's 4:20. So let me get a joint here. I'll try one of these. I already got one, but oh, interesting. Oh, they got the warnings, little logos on the filter.
I wonder if he rolls them himself.
I don't think they're his. I think they're. Spicoli is such a friendly guy. The number of people that Spicoli could know at any given moment, he just knows. He knows so many people. Because you met Spicoli earlier. Who wouldn't want to get to know Spicoli? Like, talk about someone, if they walked into a room, you'd say, what an engaging person. What's going on? So happy 420. Raymond Cowell says 420 bong rip, 420 wild dragon. Also saying 420. Tina Ramon saying hi. Kentucky. Hello, Jennifer from Kentucky. Very cool. Calmus. WV. What is that? Oh, Cannabis Love. WV. What state is that?
Wyoming? Or is that how you say? Yeah. Good question.
I don't know. Let's look that up right now. WV. West Virginia. Of course it would be
Oh.
West Virginia. There you go. Anyway, thank you for tuning in and saying hi, and keeping up to date as to what's going on, so we get real legalization. Because if you can't just give weed away, if it's not just a plant, I'm not talking about rules related to a drug and locking people up, because all this fake scares. If the crowd is audibly groaning and laughing,
So what is a crime? If I was to ask you what a crime, if you were to define it, what would it be to you? Like,
I would assume that a crime is an act that breaks the law. It is in violation of what the stated law is. Would you agree with that? What's a crime to you? What type of crimes do you commit, Casey?
I would say I would agree with that, but then it's like, what is the law anyways, And like, there's a natural law.
What is the law, man?
There's a
Yeah,
natural
certainly.
law.
Oh, yeah. The
And-
laws of man. There are laws of certain places, bylaws, city laws, governmental
Yeah.
laws. So yeah, it depends on the law. Yeah, the law is really only dependent on
Yeah.
who is stating it and who is enforcing it.
Well, and I think it depends, like, just for myself, this is just my opinion, but
The oil on this, by the way, I have to say, I don't want to interrupt anyone, but this top shelf BC Bud, the joint so far, out of 1, I'm saying, wow, pretty nice. I'd be pretty happy with that. But please continue.
oh, that's awesome. You dipped them all in oil?
There's just so much oil in here, the way the oil is running down the joint. It tastes really nice too. Like, yeah, very, very nice. This is a nice God's green crack. Anyway, so the law.
Oh, right. I was talking about, I can't remember. I just, like, lost my train of thought a little, but that's
Well,
okay.
There you go. Are you
Yeah.
safe though? Are you all right? Everyone's safe? Oh no! What is this crime that is happening? So, to fix crime, to make crimes less of an issue, got an article from This Is Reno, and this is happening in Reno, Nevada, not known for their great cannabis laws. City gets presentation on potential cannabis lounges. Yes,
Cool.
more lounges. Why shouldn't people be able
Craft
smoke?
lounges, wouldn't that be ideal? Where you could go in and there wouldn't be so many, like, loopholes to just be able to have a simple smoke shop or a tea shop, and hang out and be peaceful, and yeah. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, no,
Good news.
I agree. I mean, I'm pretty sure this particular article is in Reno, but in Canada, I'm pretty sure the Constitution guarantees the right to assembly, association, and expression. So why should you not be permitted a space for people to do that? Clearly peaceful. If I'm smoking the weed and reading the news, and you're smoking the weed and listening to the news, or not, everyone's safe. Why couldn't this be a lounge? Oh, it isn't a lounge. What an amazing thing. An active demonstration of the way laws should have clearly been demonstratable proof for years. Yeah. So, what do we have to do to change that?
That's the thing, eh?
We need more lounges is what we need. So the Reno City Council today heard an update on dispensaries, arrests, and the process of opening cannabis lounges. I bring up the arrests because although cannabis arrests in Reno, thankfully, are trending down, one of the things they mention also going down is DUIs. But what better way to have less DUIs than to allow people a safe place to smoke?
Exactly.
If you
Oh,
have
yeah.
to smoke in your car, or you have to run around to do this, and you're inconvenienced in some way, why not? Why not open more lounges? Clearly safe. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm definitely in. Definitely in favor of that. What else do we have? Oh yeah, this one's pretty interesting. But I'll let you discuss. You had some headlines related to the world of broader psychedelics, which is kind of the same thing. Because you could have, there's an opium cafe, or you could have a coca leaf cafe, or you could have a mushroom place.
Well, there should just be there shouldn't be such a strange thing going on there with all those plants like opium and, you know, the addiction problem we have, and refining something to such extent and then people getting addicted to that thing that's refined.
Yeah, the need for it to be refined.
Yeah.
If you're interested,
Then-
sorry, I don't want to cut you off on refinement, but I was just going to mention that there's an excellent piece on the coca leaf that's just gone up on Bot TV, and talk about a case for unnecessary refinement. I mean, most people who just want a bit of a pick-me-up or something to ease them from altitude sickness or tummy issues. I keep saying tummy because that's how Dave phrased it, because I believe he has a young child, but it's totally unnecessary for it to be so concentrated. If people had coca tea, it would have you would have probably eliminated so many people from their only experience being cocaine.
Very true.
Headlines, you said, easier to consume substances, mushroom cafes, psychedelic cafes. I like broad psychedelic cafes where they serve a number of plants.
Me too,
or,
yeah, and just all sorts of plants.
Yeah.
You know, you could interact with them before you buy them, and
Yeah, in fact, I think that would be being able that would be
it's not like
a
locked
huge
away
plus.
in a little like sealed up thing that you can't even see until you get home. And yeah, I think it should be more personal. Psychedelics and consciousness: distinctions, demarcations, and opportunities. So, well, let me open it for some reason.
Well, that's okay. While you're looking at it, I'll stay low tech and right in front. But you can keep looking for it. We can go to the next article. I did actually leave links to all the articles in the show notes, so if you want to see what it is specifically. So how New Jersey aims to help small and minority-owned marijuana businesses compete against the big guys. And this is from the Press Herald. Now, the premise of this is that the licensing system in New Jersey for cannabis, I mean, they all have the exact same issue, regardless of where it is the restriction of the licensing. Like, it needs to be as minimally restricted as possible. So any of these barriers, so it's like, how do you compete against the big guys? Like, compete for what? For the number of licenses? You're in control of the number of licenses completely. So if there is no cap on them, then you don't have to worry about, quote unquote, the big guys. I feel. But I really feel for these guys who can't get licenses, even though there should be no reason why this guy has had to jump through any type of hoop. Quote, I'm not a bad kid, I just got caught up selling weed. If they want to right their wrong, this is their opportunity. Seems very, very simple. So that's an article about that. I would, definitely take a look at it, because we spoke to, if you go into the archives, we spoke to an excellent New Jersey cannabis activist named Ed Forcione, and he's from New Jersey, and I mean, he's been doing everything he's been doing in New Jersey for such a long time. The idea that he wouldn't just instantly be welcome